obecny Jaroslaw jest.
Good afternoon, my name is Jaroslaw Socha. I'm coming from University of Agriculture in Krakow. I'm going to present an idea, an approach of volume estimation using ALS data without sample plots, georeference sample plots. Generally, you know that stand volume, we could estimate stand volume using ALS data with area-based approach or individual tree detection. And both these methods relies on reference measurements of field plots. Especially area-based approach is very frequently used in forestry applications, and in this approach empirical models are developed using georeference sample plots, and area-based approach could be used in two different ways. We could use different Airborne laser scanning metrics, or we could use only some selected metrics which are connected with, for example, stand volume. And the idea which I'm going to present today comes from 15 years ago. At that time I collected over 300 sample plots in Norway to stands. And during the classes with students, I found that stand volume is so strongly correlated with top height, stand density, and site index, in case of Norway school stands. And I realized that in such case, these variables could be used to develop an allometric equation which is applicable for ALS data. And I created in my computer only empty folder estimation of stand volume using ALS data. In the last years we collected a lot of ALS data and also georeference sample plots, and I finally decided to realize this idea. And I'm going to now present allometric area-based approach, which we propose in our research. This approach does not require information about coordinates of sample plots. We assume that stand characteristics are approximated using ALS metrics can be used for stand volume estimation without georeference field plots. In our research, we used the data from Milicz forest district. Is the forest area about 24 hectares. In 2015, we collected ALS data, and at the same time, we collected 630 georeference plots. This is location of this area. And in our approach, we used 9,405 plots. Georeference plots from the project of Remiofor were used for testing our method. Half of the plots, 315 plots, were used for development ABAE models, and other plots were used for model evaluation. We measured also 42 stands which every tree was measured, and this stats was used as the reference for the method testing. And we developed AABA model. You know this as Allometric area-based approach, using 9,405 plots. This is this model, and we validated this model using 42 validation stands and 315 semi-plots, geolocated plots. ABA models were also developed using local georeference plots. Half of these plots were using for the model development, and the second half was using for model testing. In order to develop allometric models, a model which describes stand volume, we use different stand characteristics, but finally we decided to use only top height and relative spacing index. In the case of Norris plus stands, side index was a significant variable, but in case of Scotch pine, only these two variables explain quite a large amount of variability. If we look on observed stand parameters such number of trees, top height, and relative spacing index, and the derived ALS proxies, we see that we could quite good estimate top height, but in case of number of trees, we know that number of trees is generally underestimated. Therefore, in order to solve this problem, we decided to use only part of trees. We tried to calculate number of trees using 10, 20, 30 and other percent of highest trees. And here we see how the use of this ratio of point clouds affect the results of volume estimation. This is the testing of the results of testing relationship between fitted and observed volume for National Forest Inventory when using different part of trees estimated from different part of point cloud. As we see for NFI plots, there are no systematic errors. If we look stand volume in the relationship both from share of Scotch pine, top height, relative spacing index, or fitted volume. After development of allometric model, we use it for prediction of volume for every for test plots, open or for test plots, size test plots, and for the stands. And in case of stands, we use also 400 square meter raster plots. And here are the results. Here we see relationship between predicted and observed volume in case of georeference plots, in case of test plots for this new approach, allometric area-based approach, and area-based approach. And in case of sample plots, the variation of residuals is higher in case of allometric area-based approach than in standard method. But if we compare the results for the stands, for the whole stands, these differences are definitely smaller. That means that this that the proposed method is applicable for the stand and give us comparable quality of results. Here we see at the plot level, we tested this in for 315 test plots. At the plot level, we see that our approach gives less precise results than normal area-based approach, the classic area-based approach. But in case of the whole stands, the results are quite comparable. And the conclusions. The proposed approach reduces time and cost-consuming fieldwork without significant reduction of accuracy of stand volume estimation. The prediction is made similarly to ABAE method. However, the model's development does not require co-location of sample plots. The proposed approach is very simple and future research. We use this approach for Scotch stand, but in case of stands with diverse structure, it's highly probable that we need more stand characteristics, and therefore this approach must be investigated under a broader range of environmental conditions and species diversity and forest structures. We published, we received information from forestry last month that the paper describing this method is accepted for publication in forestry. I want to mention that the data were collected within the Radiofor project, which was financed by the National Center for Research and Development in Poland. Thank you very much.